Legislature is looking at several proposals that would expand wolf hunting in Idaho. But are the proposals based on science or politics? Here's Steve Liebenthal with tonight's Idaho Backroads.
I think wolves in Idaho are recovered.
Carter Niemeyer has literally written the book on wolf reintroduction. In fact, he's currently writing his third. Niemeyer is a wildlife biologist, a hunter, and a self-proclaimed wolf advocate. He was directly involved in the trapping and release of 35 wolves in Idaho more than 20 years ago. Niemeyer believes recent increases in the number of wolves hunters and trappers can kill in Idaho are motivated by politics rather than science.
Well, I'm not going to judge Idaho Department of Fish and Game. I'm a wildlife biologist, and I know many of the individuals that work for the agency, and I'm guessing they don't like what's going on, but if the legislature dictates to them that they have to do something, they're professionals and they'll respond to that. To me, the biggest problem of all is having legislators dictate wildlife management policy. I just think that is dead wrong.
Wolves were brought to Idaho by the federal government, but in 2008, the Idaho Department of Fish and Game took over their management. Every year, the legislature appropriates hundreds of thousands of dollars to control the wolf population, and Fish and Wildlife Services spends that money mostly taking out wolves with aerial gunning.
I've looked up the cost of educating a child in the state of Idaho, and the costs are very similar. Educate one child or kill one wolf.
Biologists estimate that since 35 wolves were released in central Idaho, the population has increased to around 1,000. Many hunters believe the growing wolf population is leading to declining elk populations, but Niemeyer says that's not the case.
If you look at the statistics in Idaho, the elk population is very similar to what it was back when wolves were reintroduced. Studies around Yellowstone National Park show that wolves select for older elk and not younger, especially talking about breeding cows. They're doing elk herds a favor by eliminating older cows, making room for more productive cows. So again, if you really look at it closely, the science shows that wolves are very beneficial in many ways.
Studies show mountain lions and bears are more prolific in Idaho, and those predators kill more elk than wolves. Idaho ranchers are also concerned about the wolf population, and while the number of livestock being killed by wolves has generally decreased over the past 10 years, the legislature is considering a bill that would allow year-round hunting in areas where wolves are causing problems, and the Fish and Game Department is taking public comments on proposals that would allow hunting in those areas through the end of June.
Right now we've got quite a few wolves in the state, and especially, like I said, in some problem areas where we'd like to see fewer. So this is an opportunity for hunters and trappers to kind of be our first line of defense to reduce some of those conflicts.
Niemeyer says expanding wolf hunting and trapping goes against common practices that end seasons when animals like wolves are breeding and rearing their young. He says wolf pelts have very little value in spring, and other than reducing the wolf population, he sees no reason to allow hunting past March.
To me, as a wildlife biologist and a hunter and a wolf advocate, it's just inappropriate and disrespectful of the animal to be hunting them into the breeding season.
Niemeyer believes the changes will have little impact on wolf populations, and he says a vocal minority is creating an atmosphere in which politics are taking precedent over science.
I think it's wrong that the legislature is dictating professional wildlife management to the State Fish and Game Agency. I recognize that that's the political reality, but I think Idaho Department of Fish and Game should be left to their own resources and thoughts and their professional training to manage wolves in Idaho.
Steve Liebenthal, 6 on your side.